All right, we're about to take a tour through 5 very specific, very cursed locations in a city that is, let's be honest, a living nightmare. Arkham, Massachusetts. And these aren't just your run-of-the-mill haunted houses. Nope. These are the deep scars, the 5 marks that truly define this legend-haunted city. So let's begin.
And this quote, man, it just nails the vibe we're going for. See, in Arkham, horror isn't something that just happens. It's in the air you breathe. It's built into the very architecture. Those sagging roofs, those ancient dusty attics. The city itself is the main character here, and its personality is just steeped in this deep, quiet menace.
So where do we even start a tour like this? Not in some crumbling mansion in the middle of town. No, we're starting on the very edge of things, out where an inhuman horror has literally poisoned the earth, leaving a wound that has never, ever healed. Our first stop is Meadow Hill. It's this place that overlooks a valley just west of Arkham, a valley that holds a kind of cosmic scar from a really terrifying event way back in the 1880s. From right here, you can see what the locals call the Blasted Heath. So what happened here? Well, it's a story of cosmic infection. It all started back in '82. A meteorite crashed down on Nahum Gardner's farm. But this wasn't just some rock from space. It carried something else, an alien color, this living, indescribable thing that just leached into the soil, twisting and distorting all life it touched. It drove the whole Gardner family insane, and what it left behind is what you see today. 5 acres of just gray, sterile dust. And that's the thing. The color might be gone, but its taint is still here. People around here avoid this place like the plague. They tell these stories, whispers about trees that glow and move on their own in the dark. It's this permanent, unnatural reminder of that visitor from the stars. Okay, so now we're going to move away from that cosmic horror, out in the country, and head right into Arkham proper. We're shifting gears from a terror that fell from the sky to one that crawls up from beneath our own feet. And here we are, the 17th century Christchurch Cemetery. But everybody just calls it the old burying ground. I mean, look at it. With its crumbling, moss-covered headstones and those ancient, gnarled trees, it's the perfect picture of colonial dread. But the haunting here is anything but typical. The really important thing to get about this place is that it's considered unhallowed ground. We're not talking about restless spirits or simple ghosts. The threat here is something else entirely, a frightful, loping, nameless thing that's been seen moving among the tombs. It just goes to show you, in Arkham, what's buried doesn't always stay that way, and sometimes it wasn't even human to begin with. So for our third stop, the horror gets a lot more personal. We've seen threats from space and from the grave, but now let's look at the scars those things leave behind, on the human mind. On the outskirts of town, you'll find the sprawling Arkham Sanitarium. Now, you've probably heard of its much more famous pop culture cousin, but it is so important to understand the true, much more subtle horror of the original. Yeah, in Lovecraft's world, it's the Arkham Sanitarium. It's a place for treatment, not a high-security prison for supervillains. This is where you go when your sanity just breaks after you've seen something you were never meant to see. The DC Comics Arkham Asylum is a fantastic homage for sure, but its whole purpose is totally different. The terror here is all psychological. It's about what happens to a person after they've stared into the abyss. Is what they're experiencing just madness, or is it something worse? Because in Arkham, the line between a broken mind and, say, a monstrous eldritch possession is terrifyingly thin. And now we've arrived at the very heart of Arkham, at its most famous institution, and, you could argue, its most dangerous location. Here, the horror isn't just physical or psychological, it's intellectual. This is a place where the simple act of reading a book can completely unravel your reality. Welcome to the Orne Library at Miskatonic University. Now, on the surface, it looks like any respectable old college library. But this place is a magnet for the supernatural, and its real treasures, its real dangers, are kept locked far away from the world. Sure, the library's public collection is massive, but the real danger lies in what's hidden away. There are these persistent rumors about students and even professors losing their minds, or sometimes just vanishing, down in the basement stacks. They say the air itself feels heavy down there, crowded with unseen things. And why? Because of its legendary restricted collection. And these are just a few of the titles they keep under lock and key. Books like the Book of Eibon and Unaussprechlichen Kulten. And you have to understand, these aren't just books. They are keys. They're keys to other worlds, other dimensions, and to knowledge that the human mind was just not built to handle. But one book stands above all the rest. The Necronomicon. The Orne Library holds one of the few genuine copies left in the world. It is the ultimate textbook of cosmic horror, a complete history of the old ones and the universe as it was long before humanity. Just getting permission to see it requires the highest clearance and, frankly, the strongest will, because to actually read it is to invite utter madness. Or worse. And for our final stop, we come full circle. We're leaving the cosmic and the academic behind, and we are returning to Arkham's primal, witch-cursed roots. This isn't horror from outside our world or from inside our minds. This is horror that is woven into the very fabric of the city's history and into reality itself. This is the Witch House on Pickman Street, the former home of Kezia Mason. And it is so much more than just an old house. It's a place where the walls between our world and others have worn dangerously thin. And this is why. Back during the Salem witch trials in 1692, Kezia Mason didn't break out of jail. She escaped. She used this knowledge of what we'd call non-Euclidean geometry, think angles and curves that shouldn't exist in our reality, and she simply drew them on her cell wall and slipped through them into other dimensions. Eventually, she settled right here, in this house in Arkham. And that unnatural, impossible geometry still infects this house today. They say it exists in multiple dimensions all at once. People who've lived here report seeing Kezia's ghost, sure, but also her familiar, this absolutely horrific rat-like thing with a human face and hands, known as Brown Jenkin. It's a place where your dreams can become doorways to alien worlds and horrifying creatures. So, there you have it. A poisoned heath, an unhallowed graveyard, a sanitarium for the broken, a library of nightmares, and a witch's transdimensional lair. These 5 locations are way more than just haunted spots. They kind of represent the different flavors of Arkham's horror: cosmic, earthly, psychological, intellectual, and historical. They're the deepest marks on the soul of this city. And together, they tell the story of a city that's cursed from every possible angle. It really leaves you with one final, unsettling thought. If these are just the scars we can see, what other horrors are festering in Arkham's unlit alleys and forgotten attics, just waiting for their moment?